Right, let's call this meeting to order. In closed session, the board voted unanimously to accept the resignation of an elementary principal. The effective date will be June 30th, 2020. I keep on scrolling on that thing. Do I have a motion to review and approve the open session agenda?
Motion to review and approve the open session agenda.
So second,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, moving to flag salute. Let us, okay, there's the flag.
There is the flag.
I see it right behind Scott. Okay. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So it's a little different. Comments from the public. The member needs to go online, fill out the form, and submit it onto Scott. Scott will then read the question, and the board will consider addressing that or have the superintendent follow up with the answers to the community.
And I do have one comment from the public.
Okay.
All right, okay, this is from Huey Tran. And he has a child at Milpitas High School. And his comment is, we should remodel the bathroom and continue online classes through the summer and start fresh in August.
Okay.
And that's all the public comment we have at this time.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Boy.
Huh?
Oh, are we addressing this?
We don't address public comment.
Okay.
Okay. Our MUSD 2018-2021 strategic goals: build a culture of WE that engages parents, staff, and community partners in supporting student success. Improve communication system for better outreach to parents, students, and staff. Develop educational pathways that allow students to apply their passion in learning for their future careers. Focus services and support system to ensure that all students are engaged in their learning and are making social, emotional, and academic gains. Identify creative, student-focused strategies to accommodate enrollment growth and ensure healthy learning environments. Superintendent's reports. Superintendent Jordan.
Scott, would you please provide the document I shared with you? Thank you. This is what I created here as a timeline, and it will also be a log to capture the highlights from the field in regards to our Educate Everywhere. And Scott, if you scroll down to the bottom for me. So you see, beginning on January 24th, when Milpitas Unified first issued a message regarding COVID ID, that is the demarcation of our preparation for the pandemic that we are currently experiencing. We started our messaging to families about the pandemic, about doing a campaign for hand washing and making sure that parents didn't send students to school if they had flu-like symptoms. We also used it as an opportunity to talk about the flu because at that point in time, the flu was a big concern as well. And it was also the time that we started to quarantine students as well as a staff member who returned first from China and then eventually as the pandemic spread from the other level 3 countries. And it was in that quarantine that we began our flexible learning preparation because we needed to prepare our students who were in quarantine with opportunities to continue their learning. And you'll see as Scott slowly moves up, March 2nd is when we had a county meeting for the electeds as well as superintendents. And I, on March 2nd, was with board president and board vice president at the football championship in Sacramento. And that's when we had our briefing and our other board members, Sai and Yip Xuan, were also a part of that briefing because it was a teleconference. And at the same time, there was a briefing here locally for superintendents, and I asked our communications specialist, Scott Forsman, as well as HR director Damon James, to attend that in my place. And consequently, on March 3rd, we began our pandemic virus planning, and I pulled together a group of leaders who were led by Damon, Milton Quesada, Scott Forstner, Amy Sanidad, and Chin Song. And they began to update our pandemic plan, which hadn't been updated since the H1N1 virus. And you'll see as you move up the timeline that there are, if you could stop right there, there are points in time where we continue to have communication with county officer of public health, as well as county superintendent. And on occasion, there were county-wide meetings for electeds. And you'll notice that we first began with the first order from the public health officer to minimize large crowds. And we began by looking at our upcoming public school events. One of the biggest ones that we ended up needing to cancel was our Trojan Olympics. You'll see that we began a plan for deep disinfecting of our schools, and that required us to create a minimum day schedule. And then we briefed our parent leaders on March 12th. And parent leaders were from the PTA, the School Site Council, the African Ancestry Success Community, and the Padres Unidas. And we shared with them at that point in time what our pandemic plan was as it was unfolding, as well as our plan for flexible learning. And then on March 13th, we launched our internal MUSD pandemic response site, which provided our teachers and all of our team members with resources about flexible learning, about Google Meet, about other applications that they could use as they began to think about how they would provide distance learning for our students in the event of school closure for in-person instruction. You'll see on March 16th, we went to developing the key elements of what we now call MUSD Educate Everywhere. That is our program in Milpitas Unified School District for flexible learning. It's a combination of blended learning. There are some paper type of lessons, and a lot of it is online. And as you go up the timeline a little bit more, Scott, please, you'll see that we also included our association leaders. You might recall that on the 13th, when we did our emergency board meeting to discuss the pandemic planning, and at that point in time, we had originally planned to ask the board for approval of closing schools. And it was also on that same day that the county ended up closing all schools in Santa Clara County. So that meeting became one that was more informational about the pandemic planning. And we also had our association leaders in the audience. And we set the following Monday as a day for school district leadership as well as association leaders to come together to plan how we were going to address the need for shelter in place and balance that with also our mission on ensuring that all of our learners continue to have opportunities for learning, whether they're here in the school district or at home. So as you move up, you see that there were many actions taken. Can you move up a little bit more, please? You'll notice that Milpitas Beat picked up an article about us. There's also an article in San Jose Mercury about the phenomenal work that all of our team members did, because it took every single one of us in order to prepare so that we could be ready to launch. And by no means is Milpitas Unified School District Educate Everywhere perfect. There's still a lot. We are actually all learners in this process. And for example, here as a board, we're learning how to meet virtually because of the need for shelter in place. And while this is definitely a serious time in everybody's lives, in the world's lives, it does present opportunities. It presents opportunities for us to figure out how we can ensure that all of our students are learning. And I'm certain that once we get through this, we're going to find that there are some ways that we can improve what we're doing already, and in some cases evolve because of what we're experiencing and learning right now. As you go up the timeline, you'll see that we've had parent meetings in Spanish and in Vietnamese. We've had meetings with city officials. We now have weekly meetings with city officials for briefings. I have, once the board gave broad authority to me as superintendent, I created our emergency operations center, and today we had our first weekly meeting with our operations team, and we're following the incident command system for that. And what we're doing is we're looking at all aspects of the organization. We're looking at operations, which entails educating. And we're looking at logistics, which entails how we are going to make sure that our families are provided with school meals for breakfast and lunch. Also, how we're continuing to ensure that we have safety in place at all of our school facilities. As a matter of fact, today we secured all of our playgrounds and posted signs reminding our public and our students that it's important that they shelter in place and that they're outside for exercise, and when doing so that they are maintaining a safe distance and not engaging in crowds or games. On the top here on March 24th, I am very proud to say that our team in only 7 days has served over 11,000 meals. We have issued 30 public messages, 30 different public messages since January 24th. We have distributed over 1,000 Chromebooks. We're continuing to figure out how to narrow the gap on Wi-Fi. We have staff working to break through with Verizon, because I know that there are other districts that are trying also to get hotspots, and we are communicating with other organizations. You see that this morning I had a meeting with the First Five CEO, Jolene Smith, who oversees our Family Resource Center that we have located at Randall. And so we're doing a lot, and we're going to continue to do everything that we can to ensure that learning continues to be vibrant, and that our learners, we know that there's students that we still haven't quite reached, but we will. And at the same time, working with our county, working with our city, working with our community-based organizations, because as this pandemic continues and we continue to be in shelter in place and the economy becomes impacted, our next step is to prepare how we can, in working with partners, help our students' families meet their needs for food. And in some cases, we also have our schooling services coordinator, Nicole Stewart, working to connect families with shelter. So this is really a community action, and I'm proud to say that MUSD is leading the way in Milpitas.
Thank you, Superintendent Jordan. Yes, MUSD, the staff, the cabinet, the teachers, yourself, everyone has worked so hard to bring the program or the plans, make it reality for the students to attend school online. San Jose, a few parents called me and asked if their kids, their students can log on and attend our program. And of course, the answer is no. But I feel bad that San Jose didn't have any programs like that for the students. Now knowing that it may be longer than April 7th, that's a long time for students not to attend any classes. So
I agree.
that's up to all of you. MUSD, you are amazing.
I see Board Member Sai has a question.
Yes,
Yeah,
Michael.
a couple things. Cheryl, you mentioned reaching out to Verizon for getting the wireless hotspots.
Yes.
I would also like to propose reaching out to AT&T for that, because they recently announced a $10 million fund to help people get online during this time. And there actually might be some funding available for needs like this. I think this it's an opportunity we should look at.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. And but again, I've also been getting a lot of calls and messages, and without naming some of our neighboring school districts, I echo the remarks of President Leon that we, given the circumstances, we're trying to stay ahead of the curve. And it's in times like this that everyone is really stepping up to make sure needs are being served, and that we're showing the world that we're not going to let this virus stop the mission of learning. So, you know, I'm proud of everyone.
Yep. And also, Board Member Sai, if you have, do you have a link for that AT&T resource that you were talking about?
Yeah. Maybe if you send me an email, I can follow up on that after the meeting.
It would be great if you could go ahead and send an email to me.
Okay. Let me
Thank
try
you.
and find it.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
The next item that I have is, wait, go back please, Scott. Is PTA Network for Support. When Board President and Board Vice President and I held the briefing for parent leaders of the different organizations that I mentioned, the PTA Network for Support is one where we engaged the parent leaders as partners in the learning and as partners in developing a network with other parents so that they can provide support to each other. And we do need to follow up to see if they need any assistance from us. But that is one of the other key outcomes that I would like to highlight about our efforts, is that it's also bringing parents to the table. As a matter of fact, I forgot to mention that Ms. Rodriguez, our Assistant Superintendent of Learning and Development, that she held a meeting with parents of our special ed students to talk about how Educate Everywhere can meet their needs as well. So Assistant Superintendent Rodriguez, would you please share with us a little bit about that, as well as your brief remarks about how you and your team have been working to support our efforts?
Sure, thank you, Superintendent Jordan. We had our first meeting and decided to hold a weekly meetings with the parents of students with exceptional needs. And I am proud to say that listening to them and their needs, and the team being present at the same time at this meeting virtually held last Friday, the Department of Student Services came up with some specific protocols on how to serve the needs of our students. And so some of the things that we have created a telemental health plan with protocols and guidelines to transition the one-on-one support for students who need counseling into a protocol where we can do this virtually. There are lots of very specific guidelines so that we can continue to abide by the private rules that we need to safeguard the privacy of our students. In addition to that, we had the student services created and is adding to the Google site that we created for all of our parents. And we have added sites with resources for our parents, for our students with special needs, and also our students who are English language learners. So the go-to site for our parents that we created, it continues to grow and based on the needs as they continue to evolve as well. The other thing that came out of that is we want to continue to have the meetings with our parents in terms of the Spanish-speaking parents. One thing that surfaced was our parents have difficulty accessing the technology. Even though they have Parent Link, they use their phone for accessing the Parent Link. And one of the things that came out was that there is a app that is called What's Up, which is very, it's very popular among the Latino population. And they ask, we have already with the Latino Padres Unidos coming together so that we can create kind of a phone tree where we are part of that app so that we can continue to inform them. The parents, the Latino parents, share unanimously how grateful they are for the efforts of the entire team, and wanted to share with the board how proud they are and grateful to be in this community. So they are sharing their needs. That is challenging and is difficult, but they are feeling very grateful as well.
And Ms. Zhang, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, could you make a brief comment about what MOT and Student Nutrition Services is doing in regards to our pandemic planning?
Sure. Thank you, Cheryl. Good evening, everyone. And I'll start with student nutrition then. As you're probably aware that this week we're providing meals every day at 3 locations: district office, Spangler, and at the high school. And we served about average of 1,200 meals per day. And starting next week, we plan to add an additional location at Randall. But we plan to provide a meal just for 5 days, and basically it's once a week. We're going to try it out and to see how it works. And in the meantime, our director of student nutrition has been working with private nonprofit organizations to see how they can help us to provide meals for the weekend. And we also applied 50,000 private grant to see if they can cover for our costs by providing weekend meals. So we're still working on that. And for MOT department, by the end of Thursday, this coming Thursday, we will finish our first round of completion of deep disinfecting district-wide, all sites, even including the child development centers. And we're also, we have custodians and to provide support for our student nutrition staff for the 3 locations that we provided meals this week. And our MOT supervisors have checking with their staff on a daily basis. And they have, most of the MOT staffs are on call right now. And we're closely monitoring the grass and after the rain and to see if we needed to schedule for the maintenance work. Just very quick for accounting and the facility, that we just finished payroll yesterday. So everyone will get paid on time. And our business in accounting, just as usual, even though staff will work remotely, but we will continue to pay our bills. And we're working on the budget adoption for next year. So the next month will be very busy for business services. And we're anticipating everything is on schedule. We will be able to meet on our state required deadlines to file our attendance report, to submit our budget report. And just very quick for facilities. Right now, facilities construction at Meadows is still estimated to be on track. And we do closely monitoring the status at the DSA, the State Department of Planning, and also some of the supplies chain. Just we're working with our consultant and our contractors, and just to keep an eye on that. But at this point, we're not foresee any delay for Meadows construction, at least. That's all from my report.
Thank you, Wendy. Can't hear you, Cheryl.
Cheryl, we cannot hear you.
Brunson, would you give us a brief update on working with our employee leaders as well as HR? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening, trustees and community of Milpitas. Right away, when we put this action plan together, we wanted to ensure that our employees were still going to be in paid status, and that we created a document that would help provide clarity and expectations and the protocols for our employees during this time of shelter in place. We're documenting leaves. Our HR team is fully operational. They're working from home. I want to thank Chin and Tech Services for helping us secure the network so that we can do the great work of the district for our employees. We're also monitoring daily the safety of our employees here on our district campus and other campuses to ensure that our employees are safe and while they're here on our school sites, if they have to come in to get materials or supplies, as well as our students and families that are coming here on the main campus to get meals as well as technology. And let's see, and we're doing a transfer process right now with our certificated employees as if it's live and it's happening. So I'm very impressed with our team, and we do weekly check-ins just to make sure that everybody is being taken care of. We also created a document for our employees. If you have any questions regarding employment or HR questions, thank you, Scott, and thank you, Damon, for putting that together. And it's live, and we keep it current. So if there's other questions we need to address, we'll bring them towards you. And finally, just impressed with our teachers and staff and all the distant learning that's going on. It's been amazing watching it through YouTube and our workplace. It's been nothing short of incredible.
We have our secondary principals waiting in the wings. So I would like to ask, first I'll start with Carl Stice, our principal of our Cal Hills. And Carl, if you could just give us a brief summary of how Educate Everywhere is working with your team.
Great, I will do that. I am quickly gonna just share my screen. Let me figure out how to do that. Here we go. All right, so can you guys all see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. I will make it a little bit bigger here. All right, I'll run through this fairly quickly, but I'm excited to give an update on how Cal Hills has embraced the MUSD order and charge, I should say, to adopt Educate Everywhere. And at Cal Hills, we kind of live by this philosophy, but it's the quote from Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And we function, I think, very well according to adopting that philosophy. So just quickly, if we were to, the bottom line is that instruction needs to continue. So if we were to look at Educate Everywhere as a car, as a vehicle, the teachers are really the engine. The Google Classroom platform is really the vehicle to deliver the instruction. The students are really the drivers, as they need to be. They're the ones in control of what they do, when they do it, and the quality at which they do it. And then the admin and support staff are there to be the mechanics, to be the helpers, to be the supporters, to be the ones who are going to remove the obstacles. And the district and the board plays the very important part of providing the GPS and the strategic plan so that we know where we're going. Real quick summary of progress. Every class moved pretty much immediately to the virtual platform. Staff embraced the challenges to move Educate Everywhere immediately. I like to say the most important piece of data that I have recently is I had 0 resistors in terms of moving to Educate Everywhere. 100% compliance and enthusiasm. In Parent Square, we have achieved a 96% contact rate, and that is quite remarkable because our parents can be a bit transient, as many people can, maybe moving or phone numbers change, things happen, and so we're very happy that we can show that we can contact parents with a 96% success rate at this point. And that's what some of our classified, or our 2 classified staff, office staff, have been working on. So we have ongoing communication with students and parents, encouraging students to log in, and also personal phone calls. We're estimating that we've checked out, it's probably higher than this, but I'm just estimating about 50 Chromebooks. Some were checked out at the site on the Friday as students were leaving. Others were checked out later in this past week from the district. Checked out in the district initiative. And then the teachers had to also achieve mastery of the online programs and apps to make learning meaningful, authentic, and fun. And they have really done that. So that was kind of a summary of our progress, but it didn't come without challenges. So some of the lessons that we've learned, first of all, some questions. Why have many students been slow to engage? What were we not seeing? And the feedback I was getting is that students and families were overwhelmed. They had not only the process of needing, to get familiar with the new platform, but, as educators, sometimes we can forget how many other things are going on in students' lives. So we had emotional stress that they were dealing with, financial uncertainty, food and supply uncertainty, and just fears. We've had parents lose their jobs. We've had parents that aren't going to be able to pay their rent. Thankfully, the county has put off the evictions. My understanding is for 90 days now. So we had to make a pivot. So what we did was we thought about what do we need to do differently, and we discussed this in a virtual staff meeting. So we made the following changes. Teachers opened up the time frame for assignments. We really wanted that accountability if students need to log in by a certain time of day and complete an assignment. But we realized that with everything that was going on, we needed to pivot from that. We also went to a blocked schedule. So they did not need to check in they did not need to complete an assignment for every class every day. Tuesdays and Thursdays are their 4th, 5th, and 6th periods. Mondays and Wednesdays are their 1st, 2nd, 3rd periods. Friday is when they check into their advisory class, and it's social emotional learning and also any catch-up work that they need to do or credit recovery. So they need to do a daily check-in in their classes to show that they're engaged. Just really quick, provide structure with flexibility. So in Google Classroom, we went to 1 or 2 assignments that are posted on the Monday of the week. They're going to start with a quick check-in, a quick write. There's video instruction, podcasts, interactive apps like Kahoot and Quizlet that are fantastic at allowing teachers to teach virtually. Students are taking Google surveys about what's working, what's not working. They're having Zoom meetings and chats. In fact, they conducted their own Google Hangout recently and invited some of the teachers and the administrator. We've had virtual staff meetings, and then we have impromptu staff meetings as needed. So our staff meetings stay at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays, but we also have one Friday to discuss making this this pivot that we had to make. We've also conducted virtual IEP meetings so that we're staying in compliance as well as serving our most needy students. So the admin and the support staff and the counselors are really there to support. We have shared tracking documents. There's consistent support to the teachers. We are contacting students that are not engaged. We are looking at credit attainment for this quarter because we're switched into a new quarter as of last Friday. We had to do all of that virtually. So we're addressing the challenges. We have probably the most pertinent question that all the students are asking about is graduation and what the effect is going to be on that. We have quarter grades and credits. Like I said, we just switched into a 4th quarter. Grades had to be given and entered and on the transcript, and teachers are in the midst of doing that. We expanded the time frame to this Friday. We have students who are not necessarily caught up completely in credits and need to do more than just their standard classes. And so we have credit recovery to think about through the Odyssey Work program and other methods, teacher contracts. We have issues of, like any school, equity of access to technology that we're dealing with. We've been contacted by a couple of parents talking about Wi-Fi access and the challenges there, devices breaking down, Chromebooks needing to be changed out. Also, we're finding the challenge of gauging time and how much time it takes to do all of this virtually. And then we're just trying to really figure out that balance between accountability and grace. We don't want our students to fall behind in the learning because they need to be ready for the next step. Whether that's college or career, but also we want to have that grace to understand that this is not the only challenge that the parents and families are dealing with. And then also just the challenge of delivering social emotional learning because we're not seeing them necessarily face to face like we do every day. That's where a lot of that happens. So those are the updates from the Cal Hills Educate Everywhere platform.
I really appreciate this time and effort that you put into making sure that staff is pausing to assess and then to make pivots. And definitely the social emotional learning piece, just social emotional wellness is a big concern with the shelter in place due to isolation. So I'm glad to see that you and your staff are working to address that.
Thank you.
Juliana, I would like you to give us a brief update about Educate Everywhere for adult learners.
So I am also very happy and pleased to report that Adult Data BAers site has embraced the Educate Everywhere campaign in a very, very swiftly and organized manner. All our students and our teachers are on board and being engaged, and they have teachers have created that structure in which they are connecting with our students either via Remind Me, the app Remind Me, the app WhatsApp. They have also, we had also prepared for this a week before. So a week before that school went on closure. So teachers and students were able to practice and log in and get Chromebooks from our school. And we're really, really excited that yes, we are engaged and that we're also being able to take attendance. Also, as Carl was sharing, many of our students are going through lifelong changes, like losing their jobs and taking care of their children at home. So we're always reinforcing to do your best and that continue learning in this very challenging time. But again, very proud of all our school. Very, very proud of all our staff and our students that have continued to be engaged in the process.
Yep, and one highlight I'd like to share is our teacher, Hong Lin. She held her live class, and one of the students is in China. So even in China, we have students who are learning because of PWS.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And to add to that part, it's also, we have been very concentrated on the census and the EL civics campaigns. So all our students are also being able to follow the lessons on census, and hopefully they will be able to translate it into the practice of actually filling the census at home.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yes, and at the correctional facility, I would also like to give a quick update. Our program was closed on March the 11th. And what we have done is we're doing targeted PD, also targeted PD via online with all our staff. So we have a full calendar of lessons and engagements that we're doing with all our staff at corrections and at the AR side too. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana. And I'd like to hear from Sean England, our principal of Russell Middle School.
Good evening, everyone. Here, I'll go ahead and share my screen as well. Wait, hold on a second. Share. Perfect. All right, so at Russell, we've been doing the exact same as everyone else and trying to make certain that our students are given ample opportunity to continue their learning, as well as feeling supported by their teachers. One of the things that we did, because we're a school that has teams, the majority of our teams have created different websites so the students can go in. So for example, here, this is Team Perseverance. You can see their meeting times are Tuesdays and Thursdays, how they're going to grade. Since we utilized the Summit Learning Platform, we had to pivot as well, because initially the teachers had posited that they wouldn't allow students to take content assessments from home. But then once we saw that the shelter in place became longer, it became imperative for us to be a little bit more flexible, or as I say, soft, supportive, open, flexible, and thoughtful. And so consequently, they shifted, allowed the students to begin to take content assessments from home. You can see also how they're broken down by their subjects. So you have your language arts, then you can see all the fun stuff that the kids have to do here. Math, science, social studies, everything's there. Now, one thing that was important for us as well, our leadership team wanted to make certain that students still felt a part of our campus. And so in addition to their teams, we also have our school spirit. And so what students were asked to do this week is our first Spirit Week. I want to say it's actually a National Homeschool Spirit Week. And so you have multiple days. Today was the Crazy Hair Day. And so students were then asked per team to actually share pictures. And so you have teachers sharing pictures, students sharing pictures, so they can still see that they're a part of their team as well as a part of Russell. This is really important for the kids. A lot of students, as you can see, honestly, I really miss school It's a big shift for them, but we're doing everything that we can to make certain that they feel still connected and recognized, and that we know that their learning isn't going to stop. So that's how it's going at Russell right now.
Thank you, Sean. And I love the pictures and the students sharing what their thoughts and experiences are. Now let's move to Casey McMurray, our principal of Rancho Middle School.
All right. Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Good
Share some
evening.
highlights and then some of our challenges. So all of our teachers are successfully on Google Classroom as their principal platform for providing teaching and learning experiences for their students. They got on this very quickly as we learned about the eventual closure or potential closure. And so they all had their Google Classroom up and set up, and students have connected with all of their teachers. All teachers shared their Google Classroom with myself and with Lori Nuno, the assistant principal. So we are able to go in and observe what's going on in the different subject areas, including electives and PE, as well as special education. There's been a lot of sharing and learning of tech tools from the teachers themselves amongst one another, just looking at the available apps, Screencastify, Zoom, the free account on Zoom, Google Meet, and many, many others. So it's been a really neat learning amongst all of our staff, including classified, who recently began using the GoToConnect app in order to retrieve all their voicemails that are coming in, as well as making phone calls. And the staff have began to use this also in order to reach out to parents from their home without worrying about their home phone number or their personal phone number being used or accessed. So that's been a great learning tool for teachers to keep the communication up, as well as for our classified staff in the office. We're keeping track of our students who are not engaged in order for the office staff and admin to reach out and to make sure that we contact parents and inform them of what the expectations are in distance learning during this time of being out of school physically. We've already begun to reach out to parents, especially EL parents, who are some of whom are unaware of what to expect or how to structure their students' time during this distance learning experience. So we've been reaching out through our office staff, admin, and some of our teachers who speak the different languages. For example, we had a math teacher reach out to a student in Vietnamese. He just started like the week before we got out, speaks very little English, so she reached out to him. One of our office secretaries reached out to a student who speaks Tamil and communicated to him about what the expectations of distance learning are and how he should be connecting. I've reached out to several Spanish-speaking parents, and so we're trying to just make sure that we are including all of these families and making sure that we can provide for all of them, regardless of any language issues that might be there. We've created a Google site for all of our staff, classified and certificated, so that they can have a centralized location where they can access all the information regarding district updates, frequently asked questions, resources, social emotional learning for students, for staff, so they can take care of themselves as well as their students in that regard. And we've also created a weekly check-in with our certificated staff on Mondays and with our classified staff on Wednesdays, so that we can come together and stay connected during this time of isolation and social distancing. We also have a doc that we've shared with all of our staff, which is kind of a way to capture our experiences, our successes, our challenges, our frustrations, etc. And so we can, in a way, memorialize this and look back and see all that we learned, all that we did, all that we experienced together, so that it will bring us to a more, it's a way to unify us during this time and keep us together and keep laughing. We have our pairs working closely with students who need extra support. They're reaching out in magnificent ways, looking at providing the one-to-one services that were given when they were in school. Now they're doing that via the phone or other tech tools. And then our secretaries are just fantastic. They're going over every parent who has a failed text or a failed email on Parent Square, and they are calling them one by one using the Jive or the GoToConnect app, or reaching out via email, so that we can get the 100% coverage on Parent Square. We should be at 100% or very near 100% by the end of this week. So, and then we'll also, lastly, on the highlights, protocols are in place for counseling, and that includes our academic or guidance counselor, Denise, as well as our CASI counselor, Marie, so that they could continue to reach out to students who were receiving those services when we were in school, now that we're out of school, in ways that are following the established protocols from student services and from CASI. So that's a big plus that we have in that side of support. Some of the challenges that we've experienced, reaching out to parents, again, over the phone with EL challenges, supporting struggling students who already were struggling and who have not engaged in distance learning or Educate Everywhere, trying to find ways to get them to connect. And then just providing the supports for our IEP students, the accommodations and modifications, so that they are supported as they were when they were in school. Now that they're out of school at home, how do we make sure that those accommodations and modifications continue to be provided for those students? So those are some of the challenges, but I think it's an awesome opportunity for all of us to learn. I think we will benefit from this experience. At the end of the day, that's the silver lining I see. We're going to be so much better than before, just because of the experience we're going through right now. So even though it's not the optimal learning environment, I think that we will see a lot of positives come out of this.
I agree, and thank you very much, Casey. One of the themes throughout your description of all that your staff is doing is connection and ensuring that every parent, every student, every team member is feeling connected. And as you said, it is going to make you come out stronger, because right now, you and your team members are making a very conscientious effort to engage personally with each member of your Rancho community. And as you were talking, I thought about how when we see each other in person, we sometimes take for granted that that's another person. So this is one thing that I think we need to keep in the forefront once we do get back to in-person, is how, just as you said, how we continue to maintain that personal contact. So appreciate and applaud the effort that you and your team are doing. And that brings us to Principal Francis Rojas of Milpitas High School. Principal Rojas. You have yourself on mute. Principal Rojas.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm not hearing you, Principal Rojas.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, now we
Yes.
can hear you.
Okay. Guess that decided to stop working over the last hour. Okay, so let me give my report. I think it'll be quick. So we've had a couple of virtual meetings. We're trying to maintain the same routines that we have normally. So we have our virtual admin team meetings twice a week on Tuesday, Thursday mornings. We've had one virtual staff meeting on Monday, March 16th, where we had all staff members on a Google Meet. And then we've had two virtual ILT meetings. That's all of our department leads and administrators and program leads. That was on Monday, March 16th, and today, Tuesday, March 24th. For today's ILT meeting, we're happy to report that 100% of our teachers are engaged in Educate Everywhere. They've all completed the flexible distance learning readiness survey that we gave out last week. And our department leads are in contact with all their teachers, and we're working together with our assistant principals to understand the style in which they are doing the distance learning. So 100% of our teachers were ready to go as of last Thursday, if not earlier. Our instructional leadership team had a long discussion today about a potential learning schedule. So quite similar to what Carl spoke about regarding a block schedule for Cal Hills. It was an idea that came out of, I have a weekly meeting now with the principals of the Santa Clara Valley Athletic League, Board of Managers. We usually talk about athletics policies, but now we've turned into like a thought exchange group among principals between Palo Alto Unified School District, Mountain View Los Altos, Los Gatos Saratoga, Fremont Union High School District, and Santa Clara. So we've created like a small learning community for ourselves to talk about some ideas that we are running at our very similar high schools in our league. I believe we are also feeding that same feedback and information to our superintendents. So that's possibly why Cheryl might be hearing very similar things from other superintendents in nearby districts. But our ILT reached consensus that we would follow, that we would not do a block schedule, because right now it's working where every teacher just sticks to the period they teach the class. Every department lead said teachers usually have 1 or 2 touch points a week, no more than that, for synchronous learning or synchronous meets. We are going to, on Thursday, adjust it instead of following like our bell schedule to an hourly schedule every day. So period 1 would be 8 o'clock to 9, period 2 would be 9 to 10, so on and so forth. So it's a lot easier for everyone to remember. Again, that allows some flexibility for teachers to check in with their students once or twice a week, provide the assignments and guidance for the week, and then check in the following week. So we are really emphasizing flexibility and compassion. Most teachers, again, are meeting with the students once a week and provide office hours once a week as well, and with a 48-hour turnaround on email feedback. We started engaging in a discussion around grade reporting for transcripts, graduation requirements, and our concern around college admissions and articulation. We'll wait for some guidance from the County Office of Education, because we probably have to get some information from up on high on how things may look for graduation requirements for this graduating class. Our classified, so that's our certificated staff. Our classified support has been amazing. I've checked in with our custodians and nutrition staff daily as I've been going to MHS every day up until today. Tomorrow might be my first day to work from home, but they've been there doing their jobs with a smile on their faces and really supporting what's going on at the school. Our secretaries have reached out to support us. Currently, our secretaries are working on reaching that 100% updated contacts with our families at home. We are at about 98% with about 100 contacts needing to be updated. So our secretaries are working on that currently. And then, yesterday we had our locker retrieval process from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. We were having a lot of students contacting us saying, oh, I need to get my book from the locker, or my scientific calculator, so on and so forth. So we had our security staff on campus yesterday to work with our custodians to open up all of our locker bays so students can access that. We had about maybe 300 students come on and off campus. Our safety staff ensured that people practice social distancing, and it went really smoothly yesterday. In regards to technology, we have about 240 MHS students have picked up their Chromebooks. We had about 500 requests, but that was from prior to when we went on shelter in place. And so we're trying to figure out why there was a discrepancy between the requests and the actual students who came, because we were communicating with them in the same way. So we're actually going to depend on our teachers to begin filling out an disengaged student form. So assistant principals, counselors, and secretaries can make contact with students and parents to find out what support is needed. And I want to thank, yes.
What about asking the teachers to call?
That's part of it, yes.
Okay.
So they're going to call, and then they're going to fill out a form. The form is based off of a form Casey had shared with the secondary principals. So I want to thank Casey for that. So yes, the teachers are part of that, to fill out that form, and then we'll follow up from there. And around mental health support, our counselors are all on call, as well as our CASI counselors. And Nicole Stewart is working together with Rebecca Cole and Sandra Quintana regarding how to do a referral process for our teachers, because right now what everyone's doing is just emailing directly to our APs, and then we go ahead and farm that out to the counselors as needed. As the board may already know, the SAT has been canceled for this month. That was on March 14th. March 14th. And I believe the SAT is also canceling the April administration. SAT will let us know when they will be rescheduling those. As for advanced placement exams, we're waiting for a full update for advanced placement regarding their remote testing process that they're going to try out for this year. AP did tell us that we are allowed to do refunds. However, because of our limited staff to do refunds at this point, we're holding on to everything until we get more information from College Board around the AP exam and provide that information to students so they can make a more informed decision regarding if they want to take the online test or not and get a refund. So we're holding off on giving that information until we get the final say from AP on that. Our ASB student leadership is engaging in virtual activities to encourage virtual de-isolation during the shelter in place and increasing school spirit, very similar to what Russell is doing. Instead of Russell's doing the posting pictures, we're doing a school-wide flip grid that's being monitored by our activities director and our students, and that's for students to share their life in shelter in place. And then I believe March 30th is our Spirit Week. TO was supposed to be this Friday, so everyone's really bummed out about that. But I think we've made the right decisions prior to the shelter in place to make sure that we were prepared for this. So March 30th, there will be a Spirit Week where people, I think their dress-up days, take pictures, share it on a site that Jarrell is working on.
Will you ask them to share that with all of the district staff and the board so that we can also participate?
Sure, I will. I have a meeting with Jarrell tomorrow, and so I will. I'll let him know. And I think the biggest thing on our minds right now is we are getting a lot of questions around graduation or when students are returning. I've shared with our department leads, and I will be putting out a message soon to students, that I know our governor had said something, made a comment around schools not coming back until next fall. And I have shared with ILT and some community members that we take our direction directly from the superintendent, who gets the direction from the county office and then from the CDE. So we don't have an updated return date. And with that being said, for the graduation ceremony, until we get more information about student return date, the options that are in mind right now is when allowed for gatherings, we could do smaller ceremonies batched in groups that we can brainstorm later what those groups may be, or postpone the ceremony until a very safe date to have the usual graduation ceremony. So we'll put out a message soon to our seniors as an update with the information we have, and to also seek ideas from seniors about how we can celebrate this milestone year in their lives in alternative ways, because we do know that it has an impact on a lot of our seniors. Their prom has been canceled, their graduation is uncertain, everything's up in the air for them, and this is what they've been preparing, the success that they've been building up to prepare for all their life so far. So we'll be reaching out to them soon. And I think that is it.
Well, thank you, Francis. You know, as you're talking, you're really describing an incredible, I would say, ecosystem that most people don't have to work with, and that at that level in this sort of a crisis. And you explained how you are meeting, or how you and the team together are trying to address all aspects of a student's life in high school. And especially because in high school, it's a point in a student's, in a learner's life when they're preparing for the next transition towards their career. And it's not, it means that our actions have even greater urgency for them than for some of the other stages in life, because there's still a little bit of time. And I appreciate that you're enlisting all of your team members to make sure they reach every single one of those kids, and that you're reminding them that there are students who are in homes right now where it's a little difficult for them, because it's difficult for them on typical kinds of days without these kinds of challenges to work through. And I do appreciate that you're looking for ways to have graduation, because I want to assure the public and all of our 12th graders, all of our seniors, that we will have a graduation in some way. We're not going to cancel. We're going to make sure that the class of 2020 from Milpitas High School and Calaveras Hills High School and our adult school, that they all have that moment in time to celebrate as community. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's it.
I'd like to just add a brief comment. Thank you, Superintendent Jordan, for confirming that our graduates this year, from with all milestones, that we're going to do something. They're working hard. They're trying to figure it out. Everyone, I can hear the fact that we're trying to create a sense of normalcy with our education system in Milpitas Unified School District, while there's a lot of chaos and uncertainty going on out there. So definitely really appreciate those efforts. I definitely noticed one thing about myself being here in this virtual space is that I'm a very visual person. So I want to do a quick special shout out to the presentation that Mr. Stice gave, because I know that it made it easier for me to be able to follow what he was saying. And I know that his ability to share that with his staff and other folks and as a part of the historical archive will be very, very helpful. So great job on that, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciated hearing all of the updates from all the schools. I think it's incredible how similar things are going at each site, and how teachers are jumping in and making this happen, all staff, not just teachers, but all staff. So shout out to the district.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right, board group agreements. Scott, would you leave the screen on so that people can follow?
There we go. President Lien?
Yes.
We can skip the superintendent's executive cabinet reports because I incorporated them in.
Yes, I know. Yeah, we did that. So we're going to move on the board communications request. We'll start with Kush.
Okay, so for our school, we started planning this week activities that we wanted to do with our whole campus to keep them engaged with us and make them feel like we are all in this together as Trojans. So we have different activities with different committees and leads. So they include things like minute to win activities posted on Instagram for students to try and complete. And as Mr. Rojas mentioned, we have a school-wide Flipgrid that everyone is welcome to participate in. Also, we have an alma mater hand washing contest where we basically have students post on our Instagram page or tag our Instagram page of them, you know, like singing a song while washing their hands to kind of give a model and to inspire their students to maintain, you know, like clean habits. And for Thursday, we have planned a Kahoot live stream with our whole school that'll be streamed on YouTube. So anyone is welcome to participate, and it's just going to be general school trivia type questions. And also we have our virtual Spirit Week next week for all 5 days. And then the week of April 6th, we plan this hobby week where each day, Monday through Friday, we have one category of like how-tos that students can submit like a video of them doing a how-to within that category each day. And then we would post it on all of our MHS social media for kind of students to showcase their talent and teach others how to do certain things. Like for example, we brainstormed maybe different technology things like video editing and stuff, maybe teach students arts and crafts and stuff like that. And our elections were supposed to be from the middle of March to April 1st, but then we postponed it to be the week of April 6th to the 20th, April 20th. So for those 14 days, we're going to have our elections. And if we cannot get back to school by that time, then we're going to be doing online elections where all the people running are going to be publicized on our Instagram page, as well as they can publicize themselves on their social media as well. All right, that's all I have.
Thank you, Coach. Timothy is not on here, right?
No, I don't see him.
Okay. All right. Michael, would you give your report?
Well, I've been practicing social distancing and encouraging people to do the same. I think it's real important that we all do our part, and I've been going around trying to counsel a lot of parents and families on how to adjust to this transition, because a lot of families are kind of worried, and you know, online learning is new for a lot of folks. So I'm trying to help walk them through how to manage the day, you know, sharing information about like day plans and online resources for students to keep learning. Also been researching what sort of resources we can tap into to provide distance learning for our community during this time, such as the AT&T grant, and also been just finding out as much as I can about this virus, how it transmits, and what are best practices in some of the countries that have been combating this for a while, so we can have the most effective strategy. Also working on getting some mask donations from around the community, as well as from China, to help our frontline medical workers. At this time, I'd like to say that if anyone has any extra N95 masks or medical equipment, that we're trying to collect them and donate them to the Valley Medical Center. A lot of frontline workers are really in need of masks, so there's plenty to do during this time.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for doing your part.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly? Kelly Yip Chuan.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Like many parents, I'm also struggling to educate my own children in this learning platform. I'm also working full-time at home, and it's tough, and I know that we will get through this. But I do want to commend all the MUSD teachers, staff, and administrators for preparing our district to be ahead of most other districts. Of course, you know, it's challenging. My 3 kids are able to continue their education this week after the announcement of the school closure. It's nothing, it does not replace the tradition of having teachers and students in the classroom, but we're going to get through this. And, these are certainly challenging times for all of us, and our teachers are having to work harder. I know they haven't had a break. They are continuing to look for creative ways to continue to educate our children. And I can't thank enough for our amazing teachers and staff. I'm very proud to serve at MUSD. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Vice President Norwood.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a confession to make. I have not done a good job with the social distancing at all. I visited 12 school sites to meet with the administrators and the staff that were in the office last Wednesday and Thursday as parents were coming by with their kids to learn more about this whole process and just to get their heartbeat. And, it's a lot of good energy, some concern, but first and foremost, I wanted to let them know that that they had our support, and we were very grateful for their commitment to education. I also had the opportunity with Board President Han and Clerk Kelly Chuan to attend the Chromebook distribution at the Milpitas Unified School District office. It was amazing. Chin Song and your tech team is to be highly commended in terms of how it was managed, how it was distributed, how you pivoted, and even going above and beyond in terms of seeking out to make sure kids had hotspots. Again, Chin Song, you've been amazing in all of this work. I had the opportunity to participate in the call that Norma spoke about earlier with our exceptional students in terms of talking to their parents and hearing some of their anxieties and their concerns, and really getting deeper into how things are going to map out. Working on securing additional resources for the school district. There is I'd like to share there is another grant out there, Superintendent Jordan and Wendy, that I will send to you from the Silicon Valley Community Foundation for a number of different items in communication with the city staff as well as the county about what the plans are. There have been a number of calls at the state level, attended the state conversation or video about the future of education with Superintendent Tony Thurmond. And again, just really been busy paying close attention and letting everybody know that in this district that they are supported, they are appreciated, and that our kids are going to be much better for it in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Norwood. Mine is real short because Vice President Norwood covered parts of mine, and then Superintendent Jordan covers. So I did visited the district office when meals were passed out to students, passed out the Chromebooks. I host a couple of teleconference for the Vietnamese parents, answer questions, and I was grateful for Norma Rodriguez and Superintendent Jordan joined in on the teleconference and answering questions for the Vietnamese parents. Those are my reports. And let's move on. So, I think this is back to Superintendent Jordan. 16.
Thank you, President Lian. I'd like to ask Assistant Superintendent of Learning and Development, Norma Rodriguez, for the report on our Saturday school.
Thank you, Superintendent Jordan. I'd like to invite Director Kusunoki, who has been instrumental in leading this charge in terms of planning the Saturday Academy and the Saturday School. And she's going to go over the purpose, some of the data that we collected, and some of the learnings with the board. So if Director Kusunoki is ready, she will be leading this presentation.
Good evening, everyone. I've been sitting here just listening to everybody and how grateful I am to be a part of Milpitas, especially today or in the last several days with the challenges. I want to share with you some of the new things that we brought in this year, primarily with Saturday School ADA Recovery Program. Can you move to the next slide?
Can you speak into your mic?
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you hear me better?
A little bit better.
Okay. So Saturday Academy, the purpose of Saturday Academy is to provide an opportunity. It's another support system, systems of support for our students with chronic absenteeism to recuperate, for them to make up the learning, and also an opportunity for us to recuperate the ADA. Next. So what exactly is it? It's a program that strives to engage everybody, all adults and students. We want to create a Saturday learning program for students for 4 hours where teachers are engaged in fun learning activities with the children. We've only piloted this year for elementary students, pre-K through 6th grade. And the teachers that have jumped on board have flexibility in creating a review session or coming up with fun learning activities that are aligned to grade level standards. Next. As you can see on this data, we've only had 3 sessions. The first Saturday School took place on Saturday, December 14th, and there were only 61 students, I shouldn't say only, that was a pretty good number, 61 elementary students who attended our very first Saturday School. And on February 9th, that number increased to 242. And the most recent was February 29th, and I believe it's 320. I can't see because the pictures are on there, but 320 students participated in the most recent Saturday School. Next. So this graph here breaks down the student participation by grade level. As you can see, there's higher student participation rate from kinder to 2nd grade. They're really having a lot of fun. And I've been told by the elementary students, the primary student, that they enjoy Saturday School, which is a good thing. Next. We also have Saturday Academy going on, and this is an ongoing intervention for students needing additional support and resources. So for students who are in the Saturday Academy and have had chronic absenteeism or prior absences, we take their, we're able to make it up during their academy. Next. So in calculating the ADA that's been recovered through 3 sessions of Saturday School and Saturday Academy, I have on the chart here an estimate number of what we were able to recover. And for just the 3 session, we were at 36,904. It's an estimate. And then Saturday School combined with Saturday Academy, we generated about 42,533. Next. The breakdown for the Saturday School by month, you can see right here. The 3 session breakdown of the ADA recovered minus staffing cost. So we were able to recover a lot more just from the 3 sessions to include the Saturday Academy. Next. So when reflecting on as a trailblazer, starting something new or bringing something new, there's a lot of things that we have learned in this process. So number one is the communication. If you can go to the next slide for me, Scott. So what we've learned is the improvement in our process. Through this 3 sessions, Saturday school sessions, we have seen an increase in student participation in Saturday school, primarily because there's clarity in communicating its purpose from the L&D department to the site administrators, and from their site administrators to the home. So the clarity in its intended purpose became a little more clear, and it definitely have room for improvement. We've also created a flow chart that you can see here of how to invite, or how do you determine which students to invite. So these flow charts are going to be helpful for assistant principal and principals in determining how to select and processes to follow for Saturday school. And the number one thing that stood out to me based on the data is it was mentioned a lot over earlier in this meeting, we have a lot of parental support. We truly have parents who care and want and are invested in our district. And I see the increase in the number. I was there on February 29th at Pomeroy. They were excited and they wanted to do what they could to help us. I know that once in my generation, actually, Saturday school had a negative connotation. For this generation to see Saturday school with a positive lens and to look forward to it, not to encourage absences, but to look forward to it as a means of coming together and truly learning together without it being punitive, as it should not be. So it's taken a positive spin, and I'm truly grateful for the parents and the staff who were really excited bringing Saturday school on, and look forward to being a part of that. Next. This Saturday school has so many different potentials, but the number one thing that stands out to me is family engagement. Saturday school should be and can be used to engage our family members, to engage our local businesses, to come join us and share their talents and their skills, whether it's a simple history, sharing of history through storytelling, or any project-based learning that the students can do at their schools with the support from the businesses and so forth and so on. Board members, firefighters, children, primary students always want to learn about their community, who's in the community, what's their role. These are things that they look forward to. So this is, in moving forward, this is something that I'd like to work with Norma and our team on in trying to schedule out the calendar for Saturday school, and truly finding ways to engage our community so that they too can be empowered and a part of teaching. And I think that's the last one. Is that correct, Scott? Does anybody have any questions?
Director Kusanagi.
Yes.
What are the next steps as far as developing a rubric or alignment so that we have something, a common goal for each school to push towards in achieving some of the similar numbers as other schools like Pomeroy, for example?
Okay, well, the timeline, let's hope to, well, with this setback right now, we're hoping to get that together, hopefully early next year, school year, just to coming together and talking about what are the plans. So Cheryl, we had a March set up for March 28th. Everybody was on board. They were calling and they were listing students to invite. So everybody understands the need to have that sameness in terms of communication to their families and to the students. We're getting there. We're in pause right now. We're gonna get there, and I'm hopeful that we can get this early next year as we create the calendar for the year for Saturday school.
And you did share a little bit about how the principals with success shared what they did. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, Nicole Klein from Pomeroy and Deanna Saintine created this process just because they were so much a part of Saturday. They really were invested and they had so much fun. So as they were trying this out, they ended up with a process. And that process that they created, I took and put it into a flow chart for others to learn from, and it makes it easy for people to follow, like the administrators at the site. So, and Deanna Saintine actually used the assistant principal's meeting to share what they did and the learnings for them, just to help her colleagues as they attempted to schedule for March.
Great. And Assistant Superintendent Zhang. We had talked about potentially doing some sort of a formula so that our schools who are really pushing the Saturday school as a way for ensuring that students have that learning experience that's so valuable that they miss, and also to recapture ADA. What are your thoughts, or what have you worked up or working towards in creating a formula where we can work with each of our principals of the elementary schools so that they get a certain percentage of the net after taking out the cost, so that they're able to see some sort of direct value? Yes, thank you.
Yeah, well, I thought about that, and I have a formula developed. The overall picture works like so we track each school's ADA by percentage, like overall, and a percentage of the total ADA earned. And then based on the total funding we received from Saturday school, and we're going to subtract out all the operational costs, and then we come up with a net profit. And from the net profit, we can probably, the district will keep, I'm thinking maybe 70%, and we can redistribute the 30% according to the schools, depends on their participation in Saturdays on the program. So that's kind of overall, I'm thinking big picture, and I can share more detail with the elementary principals in the future.
Great, thank you. Okay. And just to clarify, it's not necessarily a profit, it's making up the funding that we lose when we don't have students at school. So it's filling that. Yeah. Thank you. Director Kusunoki, do you have anything else you'd like to add? Or are there any questions from the board?
What is the scheduled start time? No, that question can hold, because I know when we're going to hit the ground running when we get back to school normally. So that question can hold, no worries.
All right. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving on to action item.
Oh, before you move on, I just want to
Yes.
also thank Director Kusunoki and also Assistant Superintendent Rodriguez for being the cheerleaders and supporters at the start of this. I know that there were a couple Saturdays where you were the two lone administrators. So thank you for your dedication.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Superintendent Jordan, 17A.
17A is our women's resolution. This is the Women's History Month. And as we have begun, and I mentioned last month, we have engaged with some student leaders, and I'll let Mr. Forstner talk to us about how this resolution was put together before he presents it. Scott?
Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, I was lucky enough while students were still in school to visit Milpitas High School, and I met with a club called I Am That Girl MHS, and we went over the women's history resolution that we had in place that had been used for a number of years, and they came up with some really great ideas to enhance it, make it more meaningful, like the board has been asking for with our resolutions. And then the shelter in place order took into effect, and we had invited a lot of the girls to come speak, and tried to figure out a way where we could still have them do that. So they created a video and incorporated a lot of the a lot of different clubs within Milpitas High School, and I'm going to show you their video, and they're going to recite the new Women's History Month resolution for us.
Awesome.
Share my screen and then get the video on.
Hi, my name is Roshni Gopala, and I am president of I Am That Girl.
Hi, my name is Devika Kumar, and I am the vice president of I Am That Girl.
Hi, my name is Pranavi Manchikanti, and I'm secretary of I Am That Girl.
Hi, my name is Marilyn, and I'm the treasurer of I Am That Girl and the secretary of STEM Girls.
Hi, I'm Ancha Shaker, and I'm the social media manager of I Am That Girl.
Hi, my name is Siley Carkeray, and I'm the publicist for I Am That Girl.
My name is Mihika Moore, and I'm president of STEM Girls.
Hi, my name is Tran, and I am the current vice president at Milpitas High STEM Girls.
Hi, my name is Shania Chang, and I'm the treasurer of STEM Girls.
Hi, my name is Heavy Lay. I'm treasurer for Girls Who Code and event coordinator of STEM Girls.
My name is Angela Lee, and I am publicist of STEM Girls.
Hi, my name is Shivali, and I'm the president of Girls Who Code.
Hi, my name is Rachel Wu, and I am the vice president of Girls Who Code.
Hi, I'm Apurva Pensing, and I'm secretary of Girls Who Code.
Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways.
Whereas in Milpitas, inspiring women have made a difference and paved the way for other women in their respective fields, such as Karina Dominguez, the youngest Latina council member who is a former vice mayor for the city of Milpitas, City Council Mayor Carmen Montano, who was vice mayor from 2014 to 2016,
School Board President Hong Lian and School Board Clerk Kelly Yip Tuong, both active leaders in the community, and Superintendent Cheryl Jordan, who earned her way up the MUSD ranks over the last 3 decades, from classroom teacher to superintendent of schools.
Whereas in Santa Clara County, influential women have rose to prominence, such as Supervisor Cindy Chavez, Vice President of the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, former San Jose Mayor Susan Hammer, who served as the city's mayor from 1991 through 1999, County Superintendent of Schools Dr. Marianne DeWan, and many more.
Whereas throughout the U.S., strong women have garnered a special place in our history, such as Michelle Obama, the first African-American First Lady, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the youngest woman to serve in Congress, Harriet Tubman, best known for ushering slaves to freedom through the Underground Railroad.
Amelia Earhart, the first female aviator to fly solo across the Atlantic, Rosa Parks, who helped launch the Civil Rights Movement, Sandra Day O'Connor, the first female Supreme Court Justice who served 24 years, tennis great Billie Jean King, who beats Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes, Sally Ride, the first American woman in space, U.S. Representative Nancy Pelosi, the first female Speaker of the House, and the list goes on.
Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the forefront of every progressive social change movement, such as the women's suffrage movement, the Me Too movement, March for Our Lives, climate change, and the Women's March.
Whereas American women have been leaders,
not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and other movements, especially the peace movement, which create a more fair and just society for all.
Whereas American women have served our country courageously in the military, such as 4-star General Annie Dunwoody and Commodore Grace Hopper, who had a destroyer named after her, USS Hopper DDG-70, as was the Cray XC-6 Hopper supercomputer.
Whereas the rights of women have been challenged throughout history, culminating in legislation such as in 1920, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution is ratified, ensuring the right of women to vote.
In 1963, President John F. Kennedy signed into law the Equal Rights Act, prohibiting sex-based wage discrimination between men and women performing the same job in the same workplace. In 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act into law. Title VII bans employment discrimination based on race, religion, natural origin, or sex.
In 1994, President Bill Clinton signed the Violence Against Women Act, providing funding for programs that help victims of domestic violence, rape, sexual assault, stalking, and other gender-related violence. And in 2013, the U.S. military removes a ban against women serving in combat positions.
Whereas, despite these contributions, the role of American women in history has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in literature, teaching, and study of American history.
Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of Milpitas Unified School District that March is designated as Women's History Month.
Beautiful.
That was outstanding.
Yes.
That was an example of how shelter in place really, really gave us cause for something awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, that was a little biased. Wow. That was a little biased. I'm kind of feeling like the fellas were totally left out.
It's Women's History Month.
You can change that, Chris.
It's always been his story. Now it's her story.
That's right. How come there isn't a Man's History Month? What happened to Man's History Month?
That was one of the best. It's coming. So that was awesome.
Men's
that was excellent work, Scott. That was excellent work.
Yep. Thank you, Scott. It was awesome.
The girls did the entire video and sent it to me. They're amazing. Definitely.
Well, thank you for giving me
Thank you, girls.
That was really inspirational and moving. I love how, so many voices were just stitched together. Mm-hmm. And normally when we have resolutions, it's one person reading the whole thing, but here we're able to have everyone's voice come in and be a part of that. And it's really just showing here how we weave the fabric together of everyone coming in and adding their voice to the chorus. So, and this is wonderful. Happy Women's History Month.
You're right.
All right, let's move on to.
You gotta adopt it.
Oh, yes, forgot. Sorry. All right, is there a motion to adopt the resolution 2020.28, recognizing and honoring National Women's History Month?
I motion that we adopt resolution 2020.28, recognizing and honoring National Women's History Month.
A second.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Resolutions adopted. Moving on to B. Superintendent Jordan.
Okay, next we have resolution adopting Adult Ed Week, and we have Principal Juliana Brahim.
Good evening, everybody. A pleasure to be reading the resolution number 2020.31. declaring the week of April 20 to the 24th of 2020 Adult Education Week in the Milpitas Unified School District. Whereas the first recorded adult ed class in California was held in the basement of St. Mary's Cathedral in San Francisco in 1856. The class authorized by the San Francisco Board of Education to teach English to Irish, Italian, and Chinese immigrants. John Sweet, who was the first volunteer teacher for the class, later became a state superintendent of public instruction. And whereas adult schools have been called upon on numerous occasions to assist the state as it dealt with significant social, political, and economic issues. Examples include job training programs during the Great Depression, training skills in underskilled workers during the World War II, and preparing millions of residents for citizenship. And whereas adult education in California overcame its biggest challenge as a result of the severe economic crisis facing both the state and the nation in 2008 and 2009. Funding that was previously reserved for all adult education was redistributed to other levels of education in the state, resulting in many adult education schools decreasing in size and becoming, or some of them closing. And whereas Milpitas Adult Education successfully serves the surrounding communities through its collaboration with its community college partners and community-based organizations through the California Adult Education programs. Milpitas Adult Education has served around 1,350 students in the school year 2019-2020. And whereas Milpitas Adult Education provides significant and varied classes and programs to serve the surrounding communities, including class categories outlined in AB 104 in 2015. And whereas Milpitas Adult Education serves its students in the high school diploma and high school equivalency programs in the 2019 and 2020 school years. The programs help minimize the high school dropout rate. Whereas Milpitas Adult Education serves students in the English as a second language program. In 2019 and 2020, and parents enrolled in ESL classes learn how to assist their children with schoolwork and dedicate several hours a year tutoring their own children. And whereas Milpitas Adult Education provides one of the largest adult education corrections program in the state of California and Santa Clara County at the Elmwood Correctional Facility for Men and Women in Milpitas, Main Jail, and the Reentry Resource Center. And whereas the Milpitas Adult Education has helped reduce recidivism, and whereas Milpitas Adult Education provides a safe environment for its students free from discrimination or bullying, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status. And whereas the Board of Trustees of Milpitas Unified School District strongly supports adult education as an important part of Milpitas Unified School District. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Governing Board of Milpitas Unified School District do hereby proclaim April the 20th through April the 24th of 2020 as Adult Education Week in Milpitas Unified School District, and salutes the students and staff of Milpitas Adult Education and honor their efforts and accomplishments throughout the week so stated.
Thank you, Juliana, and to all of our adult ed learners.
Thank you.
Teachers.
And to our adult ed staff. I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll second.
Oops. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the resolution is adopted.
Thank you, Milpitas.
Thank you, Juliana.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Juliana. Congratulations.
Forward to the future. We look forward to the future that we're thinking about, that we're developing, that we're planning, because we have a ton of adult learners in Milpitas Unified, as well as the city of Milpitas. And on the other side of this uncertain times, we know that there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to be interested in retooling their skills to be prepared for the next economy. And we would love for our adult education program to be at the forefront of that in the city of Milpitas.
Yes.
I'm ready for that.
All right. We're moving on to C. Wendy.
Yes, thank you, Hung. And so tonight we're asking the board to approve block constructions amendment number 2 for Meadows Elementary School, increment 2. If you recall, at the January 28th board meeting, we asked the board to approve the increment 1 for Meadows. And then at that meeting, there was an estimate for increment 2. Basically, the increment 1 is for the work of side work and steel work. So that was roughly about over 8 million. And at the time, we were estimating the rest of constructions for increment 2 will be around 27.4 million. Now block went out to bid and they have a better information now. And so what we present to you tonight, Scott, can you open the attachment and go to all the way to the last page of this attachment? All the way to the end. Okay, so this sheet summarizes the total cost for the rest of the buildings for Meadows phase 2. At the January 28th board meetings, the board approved increment 1, so that was 8.6 million. And tonight we're asking the board to approve the increment 2, which is 26.1 million. That is the number listed here. And for a total, the total cost for Meadows phase 2 will be 34.7 million. And the increment 2 covers 3 instructional buildings and plus 1 multi-purpose room with warm kitchens. And for the instructional building, each building will have 8 classrooms. So for a total, we're anticipating another 24 classrooms and plus our kitchen and a multi-purpose room. The kitchen will be inside of multi-purpose room. And that cost will be 26.1 million. And with approval of this increment 2, and the total 34.7 will be the actual cost for phase 2 at Meadows. And we're still planning to have Meadows open in August 2021. Any questions?
Can you explain to us the savings of $1.3 million?
Okay. Originally, at the January board meeting, Block did an estimate for increment 2. So at the time, their estimate was about 27.4 million. And right now, if you see, and at the bottom, maybe if I circle, Scott, can you circle that 26.1 million? That is the true dollar amount for increment 2 now. So compared to the January estimate, it's about 1.3 million savings.
Savings. All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Wendy.
Okay.
Does this complete the project?
Yes. Well, this is I have to say this. So this is complete all now in constructions at the site, and plus we still have we're going to work with the city on the joint use area, and I think we just finished the joint. We finished the joint use for the basketball court, and that was done in phase 1, and we still have the soccer field we needed to pay for it. And we're working with a joint use agreement with the city. So that is pretty much the only leftover. And then we applied a grant with the city to, we call it Butterfly Garden. So that grant is not at the main campus. It's kind of out there at a Forward Court area. So it's kind of like the other side of the campus. And the city we applied a grant and we got awarded and a total about 1.2 million. Most of the funding awarded is to the city, and we're working with city on the joint use of that park, but we will have to construct that park. And so that's pretty much the only 2 minor projects that are left over. But the main campus, this is it. This is the total cost, 34.7 million to finish phase 2.
And I know that we've applied for state bond dollars for Matos, correct?
Correct. We applied the new construction fund for Matos. And at this point, we won't know when and how much the state will actually going to fund us. And our funding application right now is about 17 million. And actually that is only for phase 1 work. And the big dollar amount in that new construction application is actually for land. We can claim up to 50% of land cost reimbursement. So after once we start on phase 2 and we're getting close on phase 2, we can apply for the phase 2 state new money.
So how much are we applying for from the state in total?
For Matos right now it's about 17 million.
And then you said that we could apply for land after we do phase 2?
No, the 17 million is pretty much for phase 1 and plus land purchase. And
so go ahead.
Okay, after the board approved the increment 2, so now we know what is our total cost for phase 2, and we can start working with our consultant to see if we're eligible to apply for the phase 2 new construction. But we don't know. We have to do, because it's complicated process. We have to do some calculation to see if we're eligible or not.
So it's a complicated process in terms of determining whether or not we're eligible for state dollars for phase 2.
Yes, and how much we're eligible, if we are eligible.
What would be the criteria that would deny us from being eligible based on your experience of applying for bond dollars in the past?
Well, there are two kinds of funding, state matching fund. One is for new construction, which Matos is fit for new construction. The new construction, if I remember correctly, the major criteria is really based on enrollment. And so, and we hired our consultant to work on the eligibility. And each year we update on our eligibility. And based on, and there's also not only the enrollment, and also I think the birth rate, and also the planning at the city, and depends on how many more residents in the area, and so on and so forth. And the other part of state funding is a modernization, which Matos doesn't qualify.
But Rancho but Randall does?
Randall might, yeah. Randall, if we're doing, well, Randall, we're doing some, we're build a new, if we're building a new building, then it will qualify for new construction. But if we're doing modernization works on the existing building, that will be modernization.
And Randall has both.
Yes.
So the construction for Matos is part of what we had done with the bond, with the Measure AA, and inclusive of the bond dollars that we applied for from the state, which of course, you've shared with us that it takes time, there's a queue, and they needed to be those dollars available for us to even be eligible. And even once we're eligible, sometimes it takes a very, very long time to get those funds. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct. So
Okay.
Right now we're planning to fund this project out of our Measure AA. It's part of our project list.
And then we're also going to apply, we're going to confirm with our consultant that we also have the ability to apply for funds for new construction on phase 2.
Yes.
And it requires us to approve this in order to apply.
No, it does. Well, apply state matching fund actually does not require board action. Tonight, the purpose of this is to authorize Block to continue with their construction planning for phase 2 at Meadows. This is the contract with Block.
No, okay, because I heard you had mentioned that once this was done, that we were going to have the consultant who is working on helping us secure bond dollars through the state matching bond fund to pursue dollars for this phase 2, because we've applied for 17 million with phase 1, and the school gets completed. And that's not the completion of the school, but the completion of the school is also deals with the joint work with the city.
Well,
Did I hear that correctly?
I don't think it's a good idea to combine the two funding together. Let's do one thing at a time. Right now, to finish Meadows phase 2, we're going to use our Measure AA, the bond money. Okay, so, and that is the cost for phase 2. And in the meantime, we are going to work with our consultant. We're going to seek state matching dollars. And are we going to be successfully to receive that money? How much and when? We don't know. So at this point, actually, we're not even planning to count that money to help our project.
We're planning to apply. Of course, we can't count on money that we don't have. You taught me that. Like, I'll count on money we have, not what we don't have. But I have to make sure that whatever dollars are out there, whatever funds exist that we can pursue. And I believe there's somewhere an item about, and I think we talked to the last board meeting about developer fees, again, revisiting what we could actually do. So maximizing those opportunities so that, again, the Measure AA funds can go as far as they can possibly go.
Yes, that is our goal. And as a matter of fact, we are going to adopt the level 1 developer fee tonight also. So what I can assure you that we will work every possible way that to maximize our dollar, we will do that. But at this point, when we talk about our bond project, we just budget within our means. So that is our $284 million. And if we get a state matching dollar in the out years, and then definitely I'll have to talk to our auditors, and we'll see how we can use that money to help other projects, because there are also compliance requirements in spending state money.
Okay. So if you don't mind, and I'll be able to move forward on this subject, based on the economy, or these uncertain times that we're dealing with, we've seen some drastic changes in terms of what the Fed has done with the rate. You had mentioned, based on some of these rate changes or some of these things, I think last time, that we may look at refinancing or something like that, so that we could get a lower percentage rate.
That is to refinance our past bond. So the past bond was a Measure E that was passed in 2012. So that was the 2012 bond. Is still outstanding, and at that time our interest rate was around 4%. So we're thinking now probably is a good time, since the interest rate is so low, we can refinancing that bond. So, but the savings would directly benefit the residents of the city. The school district, we do not get any benefit, because the residents of the city of Milpitas paying for that bond.
So
All right, so
benefit our residents to be good carekeepers of bond rates to the best of our abilities.
Yes.
So I guess my ask in getting closer to wanting to move this forward is that I would be interested in, I would approve a motion on this with the understanding that we are going to, one, apply, do what we can for the apply for the matching bonds for the state, and also that we look at refinancing the previous Measure E, and then even possibly looking at the $75 million that we secured for the first round of bond funding. We look at if it is reasonable to look to refinance that as well. Because one of the things that I remember that we did is that we thought about the $284 million, we knew that there were more residents coming into the city, and that was going to help to lower the cost for the taxpayers as more residents came into these new communities. So I'm very interested in making sure that that part of streamlining and doing what's best for the taxpayers is always at the forefront of our mind.
Yes. And I can share that with you. In the past, our district, where have the staff, at least in business office, we're always keeping that in mind, and to keep if anything we can do to help our taxpayer to lower their tax, we will do that. And we refinanced the 2004, I think we refinanced the 1996 bond. So if we see there any opportunity out there can help us to lower the payment for residents, we will do that. But sometimes we have to look at the calculation. We want to make sure the savings is sufficient enough, because there is also cost associated with it. Just like you refinance your house. And that's yes. I'm planning to ask our financial advisor, Blake from KNN, to come to the board probably maybe in April to do a presentation to share with the board some options we can take advantage of the lower interest rate. But again, I think tonight, this block contract is the standalone item, and I would prefer the board just approve this contract, and to apply for the state matching fund and to refinance the bond. All of this, even though they're related to our bond program, but it does not have a direct impact with this contract. Legally, we should treat this contract as an individual item. Does that make sense?
So let me go back. Did Chris make a motion to approve the block construction along with everything that he said?
That's my understanding.
Is that, can you confirm that, Chris?
Yes.
Okay. So Wendy asked to have this as a separate item. Do you want to amend your motion?
Could I
This is where a superintendent jumps in and helps me understand why I should amend my motion.
All right, Superintendent.
Amending the motion helps to focus. It helps to focus the actions so that they stand alone, because sometimes if we lump it together, it may not stand alone. And improving block constructions amendment number 2 addresses that. And then the other part, you could give direction to the superintendent to provide a plan or report to bring back to the board.
Yes. At a future meeting. Okay.
So I don't know if I'm interested in the report. I mean, I guess, what does the report entail? The report entails that why we did or we didn't apply for the state matching funds, or why we were not potentially approved to be, or why we did or did not apply to refinance, when from all indications I'm hearing that those are things that we should do.
Okay, Chris, I think you mixed all these items together. Tonight, this item C is just a straightforward leaseback contract amendment with block, period. And the options for us as a school district to apply state matching fund for new construction, that could happen maybe a year later. But we don't want to not approve this contract tonight to delay the construction work at Meadows, because at the January 28th board meeting, the board has already approved the amendment 1, the increment 1. So that was the 8.6 million to ask Block to start working to do the planning on the site work, and also what they do under order some steels. The work, actually, the construction work has already started off-site and on-site.
I understand.
Okay. And the refinance the previous bond, that has nothing to do with this block contract. And also, that's why when I asked our consultant to come here to do a board presentation, he will share with you there are also a risk by doing that. I'm not going to spend a lot more time to talk to you on that, because that is not a topic we're going to discuss here tonight. That's why we have to separate those items.
Can I say something?
Sure, Michael.
So I think I'm hearing points from both Wendy and Chris. I think Wendy makes a good point about the opportunity to refinance, given that interest rates are low during this period. I agree with Chris in that, I want to protect our taxpayers and our residents who could really use some financial relief right now, given the economic conditions of the virus and people worried about their jobs and their mortgage payments. So any form of like financial relief on our residents, I think would be a good move. So I agree with Chris in that we should look at refinancing options. At the same time, when you're telling me that these two items can be safely separated.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So given that that's the case, what if we, so I see two pieces. One is basically this block construction thing that we have in front of us right now, but maybe we could also make a motion that we can put this separate piece of refinancing as an agenda item on a future board meeting, because I do see an opportunity here to help save our residents some money. So even if we approve this block construction piece tonight, it doesn't preclude us from taking action to help the residents save money and lighten their financial burden in the long run.
Yes, absolutely.
That's correct. So actually, the agenda item is to approve the block constructions amendment. The discussion about refinancing the 2012 bond is a completely different topic.
Mhm.
And it is one that we will bring forward to the next board meeting. Wendy and I actually talked about the right timing to bring that piece to the board because we were watching the markets and consulting with KNN and decided that April would be the better month to bring the discussion about refinancing the 2012 bond. So that's a different topic, a different agenda item.
Yeah,
So
and
with
that is
that
different
said-
law.
With that said, I'll make the motion to approve the amendment.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
We didn't hear from Michael.
I said aye.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Law construction amendment is approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
I think the next item is also yours,
Yes.
Sika.
Yeah, well, this is to adopt resolution to increase our level 1 developer fees.
Mhm.
Currently, we are collecting level 2 developer fees, and the level 2 developer fee was stopped. Actually was stopped on November 15, 2019, because we no longer eligible for level 2. And once the level 2 fee stopped, we will revert back to level 1 automatically. And then because of the compliance requirement, and in order for us to adjust our level 1 developer fee, we have to do a developer fee level 1 justification study, which we did. And then tonight in this resolution, we're asking the board first to do a public hearing. So we have to conduct a public hearing to notify the public that we're going to increase our level 1 developer fee.
Okay.
Motion to open the public hearing.
All right. I guess we would have to wait for Scott to see if there's any public comments coming in.
No, let me double check, but there hasn't been. I've been checking periodically. Let me check again. No, we have no public comment cards in.
So I'll make the motion to open the public hearing.
No, I think you need to close it. You already opened it.
I think we didn't open it.
I thought you make the motion to open. Okay, anyway, if you want to
I
open it
didn't hear
now.
a second. I didn't hear it get open.
Okay, so the motion right now is to open the public hearing.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is open. Since we are online and I'm sure there's public comments, but we do need to give the members time to email it or to send it over to Scott. So can we take a 2 minutes recess?
Yeah, that'll work. I have my email open, so I will let you know. I'll set a timer for 2 minutes, and once that's up, I'll let you know, and we'll continue with we'll close the public hearing at that point.
Okay.
Great idea.
Members time to send in. All right. Thanks.
Okay, that was 2 minutes and a little bit, and I have not received any public comments for this item.
And just so you know, and the board and the staff, and normally we publish this notice and ahead of time, like at least 10 days. So we post this hearing and this information at the school site and also at Milpitas Post.
And on our website.
And on our website.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I second.
Okay, Michael second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is closed.
Okay, good. Thank you, board. And so basically, this is a resolution 2020.29 to increase level 1 developer fees. And this will help us to increase our level 1 developer fee to the newer rate that adopted by the state allocation board in January. The current rate was $3.79. The new rate is $4.08 for residential, and then 61 cents for commercial, the old rate, and the new rate will be 66 cents. And once the board adopt this resolution tonight, in 60 days, we can collect the new fees. So that'll be on May 23rd, 2020.
Is it a roll call vote?
Yes. No, oh, no, not the roll call.
All right, is there a motion to adopt resolution 2020.29?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. And resolution 2020.29 carried.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. We are moving on to item E, adopt resolution 2020.30, authorizing compensation for micro-sized absence from regular board meetings of the Milpitas Unified School District Board of Education held on February 11th and March 10th.
Can I interject for 1 second on item 17D? There was a number 3 that says adopt the SECA notice of exemption. Is that something different that they need to do, Wendy? I can share my screen and then show you guys. It was just on the agenda and I don't know if we did that. So let me go to it. Share. See number 3? What is this? Adopt this. Is Wendy, are you muted, Wendy?
Okay, so the third portion is a part of the resolution.
Okay, so there's no.
There's no need, we don't need, yeah, because when you look at the title, the resolution is to adopt the school facility fees and the adoption of a sequence notice of exemption. It's
Okay.
together. Yeah, we're
I
good.
just wanted to make sure. Thank
Sure.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, but we're
Thank you,
covered.
Scott, for catching that.
Thanks, Scott.
E, Is there any discussion on item E? 17E.
Well, I'll just say for the record, I wasn't feeling well. And, especially in light of this virus, I think we should be encouraging social distancing.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Come again?
Would you repeat that again, Michael?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I wasn't feeling well, and we should be encouraging social distancing in this time.
February 11th was not, the order of shelter in place has not ordered. It was not in place.
Regardless,
March 10. Even March 10, I think the state ordered shelter in place the 13th of March. Anyway, I would like to hear other members on what their thoughts are. Kelly Yip Chuan.
I vote no. I don't believe that board member Tai was really sick and is using it as an excuse. He has displayed this kind of behavior in many previous meetings and engagement. He either shows up very late or does not show up at all and does not tell anyone. So we're left wondering if he's going to show up or not. It's like that children's book, Where's Waldo? So showing up 50% of the time for 100% credit or pay. I voted no back then, and I'm going to vote no now.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Vice President Norwood?
I believe that when board members are absent and they know they're going to be absent due to health reasons or in a timely manner, that those things should be honored. In the 5 and almost 6 years that I've been on the board and the boards that I've worked with previously, I am concerned because about this particular issue with this particular board member, because he has been absent more times than the majority of the boards that I've been on in the Milpitas Unified School District over the past 6 years. I can't recall on either of the previous boards 2 consecutive meetings that were missed. I can even refer back to when Danville Bay was in the Dominican Republic. He had posted a sign outside his door letting us know in advance that he was going to be gone, but he still wanted to honor his duty as a school board member. So this tendency thus far, even prior to the outbreak, has been concerning. And so I'd really like to hear more from Mr. Tsai in this totality about his willingness to be at board meetings and to be at them on time and to be committed to the level of work that we're attempting to do for Milpitas Unified School District and the children.
All right, so.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Okay. Wow. Really? I'm going to say that before these meetings, there was actually a meeting before that where Chris Norwood said to me, Michael, if you're not feeling well, please don't feel any pressure. Go home, health is wealth.
Yes, I did say that.
Yeah. And I took that to heart. Health is wealth. And Han, you brought up the shelter in place. Yeah, well before that, the county actually issued guidelines saying that people who aren't feeling well should be encouraged to stay home and not be pressured. That doctor's notes shouldn't be required. And that recommendation was already in place well before that. Board Member Yip Chuan, I'm incredibly disappointed with you for accusing me of making this up. And it sends a very negative message to the community when they look to our leadership and see that in spite of all the recommendations and this talk of a culture of we.
Michael, what is leadership?
I'm getting to that. Also, I'm demonstrating it.
Okay.
That in this time when we need to be coming together and all working together to fight this virus, Board Member Yip Chuan is trying to take cheap shots at me and making these false insinuations that I'm making things up regarding my health. And everyone watching this is going to see, oh man, they talk about valuing people's health and trusting people and not pressuring people to come in if they feel sick. Yet when it actually comes down to it, they're going to make accusations and accuse people of lying and faking it. I'm very disappointed that she would make such allegations while feeding into this false narrative of me, I guess, not caring or whatnot. It's a myth that's being concocted for political purposes, and it's very disappointing to see it surface in time. I think we should do the right thing and send the right message that, you know, we are going to trust people.
Well, Michael, talking about disappointment, your attendance has been very disappointing. Going way back before this whole epidemic, do you remember during our Masters in Governance training, there were several meetings or trainings where you were gone for several hours, multiple times. Even there was one towards the very end that you were gone for 4 hours out of the, 8 hours we had? And one of the county board members noticed it and almost kicked you out of the training and almost did not give you that certificate of completion. And then there was another example of the 8th grade promotion at Rancho where you showed up, like the last 5 students to shake their hands? I mean, it's just time and time again that you're missing, and yet you have time in between to show up for other events. You know, and another time we have the secretary's dinner, you were nowhere to be found. And then I got a text message that you were in front of the buffet line at Big Al soft grand opening. That was a disappointment. How many of these, events or meetings that you're gonna not show up and have some kind of excuse, and now to use being sick as an excuse? I mean, time and time again, it's disappointing to hear these excuses. So my vote is no.
So Kelly, you mentioned several things and I wasn't going to go there. But yeah, since you brought it up, 1 second, saying my internet connection is unstable. Is everything coming through?
Yes, we can hear you very clearly.
Yeah, you mentioned a number of things. There was one occasion. Yeah, I remember that. Actually, I went to the bathroom. I was out for a few minutes, and then suddenly people told me
4 hours is not a few minutes.
I'm not finished. I went to the bathroom for a little bit, and then suddenly people are telling me, "Hey, Kelly's taking shots at you on Facebook," trying to claim like, she didn't know where I was, and you were actually posing for selfies in that class. It's on Facebook to kind of show off how committed you are or whatnot, while everyone else was looking at the front of the room, you were to the back to take selfies.
Okay, okay. Time out.
And when I tried to explain what was going on, you kept deleting my comment. So at that point, people realized, wow, she's going to do that. And she's going to go there. The secretary's dinner? Yeah, I couldn't make it to the entire time. And actually at the time you were telling me, Michael, if you can't go to the entire event, don't even show up. So I was actually trying to—
Michael and Kelly, I am going to cut you guys off. You can take this on your own time. I'm not going to waste the community's time.
Thank you.
All right. So, let's go back to the vote, get this business go, move on, and then you guys call each other and talk, okay? This doesn't look like leaders to me. Anyway, Kelly, your vote again, please.
No.
Vice President Norwood.
No.
All right. My vote is no. So we cannot adopt this resolution. There's no vote, there's no motion for it.
Sorry, you said there's no motion?
There's no motion.
I'll make the motion.
All right, you would make the motion. Is there a second? Seeing none. Motion failed.
Cultural we right here.
Huh? Say that again.
I'm thinking back to previous meetings where similar things were discussed. And Chris, I remember you talked about, I raised concerns about nitpicking about such things. And Chris, I recall you said that if any such nitpicking happens, it would be done in the public meeting with the public watching on camera.
Michael, the public is watching now on camera, actually on YouTube.
And I think the public just witnessed that nitpicking that I had predicted, and unfortunately seems to have come to pass.
Did we vote already?
You know what? The public would decide. And if you're being unhappy about the vote, or you feel whatever else, we still need to go on with this. I need to move on. So motion failed. We are not going to adopt resolution 2020.30. I'm now at the consent items. Consent items are considered routine and will be acted upon by the board in one motion. There is no discussion on these items prior to the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request that specific items to be tabled or removed for discussion or correction. Do we have any items that we need to remove for discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent item?
Motion to approve the consent items.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did we hear Michael?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion, consent items pass. Dates for future board meeting. April 28th, study session at 5, closed session at 6, open session at 7, and it is in the boardroom. The same with May 12 and May 26. Same time for study session and closed and open sessions. Are there announcements or reminders?
I'd like to make the reminder that we are in shelter in place, and as the administration has currently said, if we can do this for 15 days, we have an opportunity to potentially turn the corner, although that's not sure yet. So that all that we can to encourage our families, except for getting exercise outside with their children, no play, no arranged play dates or those types of things. And also ensuring that the executive cabinet is on a telecommute schedule so that they're able to maintain their health in this time as well. That is a reminder that I like to make all, including the board.
Any others? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't think so. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, every single one of you, for attending this meeting virtually. It is tough, but we're going to deal with it.